Okay, this is, I think I've been told, day 7 of our recovery. I'm going to bring you up to date a little bit on what we did off camera yesterday and so far this morning. Yesterday we did 3 vats in greenhouse 2, and what we've learned is, by vats I'm talking about 300-gallon breeder vats. So far we've lost every breeder in greenhouse 3. That was 3 vats yesterday, 3 vats today. Fortunately, on all 6 of those we have backup breeders. Some of them are a little bit young. I think Carl videoed some young Plecostomus Borlase that will be ready in about a month to breed, and we'll set them up in their 300. Had about 50-50 survival on large plecos, Hypostomus, Plecostomus, and our giant green sailfins that we were polyculturing with the Borlase actually have fry and some adults, so that strain has survived, which would be good news for our Molly fans. We've struggled with mollies since Hurricane Harvey. There's a long blog I wrote about it. I think it's called Tea, Chickens, and Fish or something like that. If you do a search on our blogs for TEA, it'll pop up and explains what I think happened to especially our sailfin mollies after Harvey. Okay, Stormy's coming through with some some buckets for cleaning vats.
Just for clarification, earlier you said greenhouse 3, you meant 2.
Yes, I'm sorry, greenhouse. Yeah, greenhouse 3 is stripped of its dead fish. There are some live fish in there, which I think are mostly Gambusia punctata from Cuba. They're probably a little bit more cold tolerant than some of the more tropical fish. Maya, you stay in here. Get back over here. The dogs are bad yesterday. They took advantage of us being distracted and took off for 3 hours and came back with a deer leg. It wasn't a fresh one, so they didn't kill a deer, but they found a kill. We have at least one local mountain lion that comes through every few weeks and kills a deer or a feral pig, and the dogs scavenge their kills. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do today, we're in greenhouse 2, which has been pretty productive. Excuse me, greenhouse 1. It's been a long day already. And most of our breeding colonies in this greenhouse have been good. We're going to do sky blue OB peacocks. I know there are at least some adult females that survived, and there's some juveniles. Let me look at the chart here and see just how long ago. We did them in June. They're way past getting done. We should have done them in September or October. What is this? February, yeah. So we're way past due on them, but I did see some youngsters in there. So I'm going to go down and start the siphons on that. Was there anything else I needed to cover, Carl?
Mention our Australian viewers.
Right, yeah. Carl tells me that we're getting a lot of Australian viewers on YouTube. They are in their summer right now, which I think is a fairly hot one. As to YouTube comments and questions, Carl just showed me last night how to see all the unanswered comments. And it took probably a half an hour to scroll down to the bottom of those, some of which were 3 years old, so that I missed. Somehow I wasn't seeing all the comments and questions. So I am going back, and I'm going to answer every one of those at some point. But I suspect it's about 1,000 right now, so it's going to take a little while, so y'all be patient. So far on our GoFundMe thing where you get, if you donate, you get to ask a question, I do a video answer. The only one so far is my youngest daughter's. I think he's up to a .78. He's not a +1, but he's a plus 0.78. And his question is what does he have to do to get to a +1? And I will probably answer that this weekend. And I'll let him view it privately before I publish it. But it's kind of a running thing we do. I maintain a spreadsheet that tallies his ups and downs in the relationship as I see it.
And to let you know, we've had more questions come in, so this weekend I'll need to sit down with you and start answering those and putting up videos.
Okay, somehow this has gone from me being chief scientist to chief flunky and secretary. But anyway, let's go do some fish, which is what I like to do. Maya's eating some of the fatalities here. Fatalities have dropped off quite a bit. Nothing new, but there are nooks and crannies in here that capture fish, and they eventually flow out, and we're collecting them. Let's see, where are we? I should have looked up that bat number. Okay, here it is. It's 1D9, and I'm gonna stop a minute and let Carl film some of the underwater stuff. And I see juveniles up around the water inflow there.
Here. Oh, okay. So are you ready to pause?
Yeah, I'm going to pause. Carl's going to do some underwater filming, and I'm going to get the stuff together to do this work. Okay, what I've done so far is pulled out the hotels like I usually do, pulled out the hornwort, which I usually throw away, but I set aside to put back in because we want to keep a bunch of plants going. By the way, ammonia, this greenhouse is approaching 0. Greenhouse 2 is under 0.25, probably somewhere around 0.15 parts per million. So we are making progress on that front. There are some juveniles in here. Typically, I've already dumped the other cage. I'm going to dump this. You can see there are a few juveniles in here. Really too big. We let this vat go too long. We should have processed it back in October. But so many things have happened, not the least of which is that Carl, Susie, and I all had COVID in March, and we're just now recovering. An interesting factoid, Susie and I had our first shots, and within about 10 days of getting our first shots, our long COVID symptoms went away. And we're now able to work a full day without spending the next day in bed. So it's we should be able to start catching up on things. I don't think Carl had long COVID, but or he did, but not for very long. Anyway, so I've dumped out some of the stuff. Oh, here's an interesting, this is a diving spider. They will bite too. I've been bitten a number of times. That's a fat female. Here's a male. They dive down with a bubble of air, and they got established in here. This is an ecosystem. Once something does well in here, it's kind of a permanent part of it. Okay, somewhere I put my net. There it is. I'm going to start netting out fish. Susie's working on the 55-gallon vats that have backup breeders and sailfish. Right now we're viewing everything as backup breeders till we get reestablished. Some youngsters. Again, we let this go too far. What happens if we don't harvest after about 3 months, we lose production because the juveniles start eating their younger brethren. Okay, there are a couple breeder females and some half-grown fish. There's a young half-grown male. There's a fatality, breeder female. Youngsters, you see some guppies in there that we polyculture with them. What I'm going to do is, feels like there's another hotel in here. There is. What I'll do is net out as much of this as I can while it's full. And a couple of nice females and some youngsters. Another fatality. Okay, one of our Plecostomus. I'm going to toss him in a cage next door to move him back in later. There's another Plecostomus. He just about jumped out. And a young male and an adult female. Some youngsters. Looks like this strain will throw gold OBs and orange OBs in addition to sky blue OBs. I've learned that the best females for producing sky blue males are kind of a dull tan color, whereas for gold OBs and orange OBs, you select gold females and orange females. Looks like we'll get a fair number of youngsters in here. Don't know what we lost. There's a couple young males. They're just starting to color up. Adult female. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this bucket up and let Susie start sorting, do the first sort on them. Then I'll run net through a few more times and put siphons on it. Okay, Susie, are you ready? Might want to add a bucket of water, gallon of water to this. Okay, try to net out a few more, put a siphon on it, then I'm going to process the fish that she pulled out of the 55s. I know there's at least one more Pleco in here, but they're kind of hard to net. There's a female breeder. There's another one. Okay, I'm going to run one more net through and go ahead and set up the siphon. Because I'm just getting one fish at a time now. There's a male that is more of a gold, he's a gold OB. He'll be moved into the golds. The gold OBs throw sky blues too, but they breed, the strains breed probably 80 to 90% true. Okay, let's set up a siphon. Do it over here. I siphon through a net just in case anybody decides to, oh, you know what? I didn't get my siphons. There in the other greenhouse. Time for a break while I go to the other greenhouse, get the siphons. What? Yeah. Okay, Susie, are we going to need a replacement male?
I think so. Not any big ones
Those are some pretty good sky blue males. A couple of them will become breeders to replace their losses. Okay, what is this?
in here. That is the second one. What is it, H?
It's not out of the breeder vat.
No, these
Okay.
are not. Well,
Okay.
these are two. Yeah, no. This is the breeder.
Okay, what I'm doing here, are we filming?
Yep.
Okay, I am sorting out males, females, and juveniles. Looks like we're going to have plenty of replacement females. And what we'll do is go through, once we know what breeders we have left, we'll go through and select replacements. Looking at these females, this female is more of a blue OB female. This one's more of an orange female. It's young. That's not a bad sky blue female. We're not going to be able to be really picky this cycle because we lost so many fish. Oh, that's going to be that's a really nice sky blue female. See, she's showing quite a bit of color herself. She's definitely a breeder. Okay, these came out of one of those vats. I'm not keeping them separate at this point, Susan. Not a bad sky blue. That could be it. That's a young male. So he's not a good female. Okay, I'm going to go down and check the vat. Where are you on these?
I'm almost done.
Okay. I'm getting ready to inventory surviving breeders and select replacements. I've separated out females here. I see, looks like 11 of them. Yeah, 11 out of, check the database here. We had 34 females in there, 11 of them survived. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that bucket, and I've pulled out some replacement females. I'm going to count them into that bucket. 4, 8, 12, 15. I'd like to have a few more. I've got some youngsters over here I think I'm going to gamble on. I'll record this number real quickly. I'll wait. And Susie, here's some more BRUs. BRUs stand for breeders unsexed. They're basically fish we're holding back to see if they're going to be breeders. They're not big enough to sell as adults. They're too big to sell as on peacocks. We don't sell anything above 3 inches. We sell 1 to 2s, 2 to 3s, and then adults. So BRUs are fish in between 3 and adult size. Okay, I'm getting ready to go through the breeder males, and then we'll dump these fish into their home. Get a couple, or not breeder males. Go through the males to pick breeders. Okay, what I'm going to do is kind of that's a really nice male. He's not bad. He's too young. He's not bad. Don't like him. He's too young. That's going to be a gold. Too young. Those two don't. That one has pretty good color. That one has good color. These. I'll look at that one again. I'm only going to want about 3 of those, so it's kind of a beauty contest at this point. That looks like that's going to be an interesting fish, but I didn't mean for him to jump in there. Okay. I had to pick between these two. I think I take that one. Like that one. That is a really interesting fish. I'll set him aside. This one jumps more than the others. It's kind of a pastel color. I'm going to throw him in there just for kicks to see what happens next cycle. He's not fully colored yet. So we're going to go with 3 new males, 11 older breeder females, and 15 new ones. I'm going to move these males over to the female bucket and take them down and put them in their new home. And I've got the vat, when I siphoned it down, had 1 Pleco in it. And I took 1 Pleco out, so I'm going to move him over there. You can see I'm refilling the vat. I've got it set back up. I'm just going to ceremoniously dump them in the middle. And now I'm going to try to find the Pleco that belongs in here. There he is. I think that's a male. The only time we get Pleco reproduction is when we run a lot of cold rainwater in. Or not cold, but rainwater in. So I'm probably going to set up Pleco reproduction sometime. I've got a couple 1,200 gallon vats. I'm going to collect rainwater and then transfer a pair of Plecos out there with some cinder block hotels for them to spawn in. And 1 spawn keeps us going for probably 5 or 6 years on Plecos. We don't sell them, but we do use them for algae and snail control in the vats and mom control. Okay, so we're going to put these guys up in their vat, and Susie's going to inventory the smaller fish, and we're going to be done for the day, I think. What time is it? Anybody know? Susie, what time is it?
Just a second.
Okay, we're filming.
I've got to write down numbers. Okay. I counted 2 different sizes at once. 10:46.
Okay, I think we're going to end after this. We've done, that's our 4th 300 today. So we're going to finish inventorying and call it a day. We'll see you next time, I guess tomorrow.